What's up guys, and welcome back to Noobs in Disguise, in which we have one anonymous replay, 2 professional StarCraft players, and 1 guess each to figure out the correct MMR. As always, I'm joined by Lambo. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic. It's always a pleasure hearing you introduce this concept in general. And I'm just happy to get into... Do we know how many episodes we still have left in the season?
I heard there's 3 more.
There's 3 more, yeah. So I'm excited to see what the viewers think I should do once I lose. Unless I make the most epic comeback ever in StarCraft history, honestly. This would be bigger than a reverse sweep of Soul Key against Innovation.
Much bigger. That was that was big, but it wasn't that impactful. People still talk about it like it was the greatest thing to have ever happened. But I bet if you go watch it back right now, it wasn't all that impressive. This, however, if you make this comeback, that's going to be the next big thing. You know what's also a big thing? Is this guy opening up with a CC that is 9 seconds too late.
Yeah, I mean, he got delayed a little bit. He had to attack the probe. Probe goes into suicide. It's not that bad. When do you think the SEC is supposed to go down?
38.
138. But I feel like the moment the probe comes to harass, it's already not 138 anymore. Because I've seen this when I played Terran. And I'm like, am I really that bad? But now I played a lot more Terran, and I think your timing is just off against people that Gateway Scout. It's 2 seconds later that I have 400 minutes.
Yeah, if they harass you, yeah, it's going to be slightly later maybe. But I don't think it's that big of a deal. Yeah. I don't think it should be 2 seconds. I mean, it's not 10 minerals every 2 seconds. So that doesn't sound correct either.
You know what I do? I always go Marine and then I cancel it to get the CC down before the probe is there. Oh. And they just leave it. They don't even realize that. I'm not sure if professional Terran players also do that. But I do that every game and it works every game.
Well, they do it when they when there's no scout. They always skip the Marine, or almost always skip the Marine.
No, but when there is a scout, the probe always goes and runs, you know, to not lose any HP too early. So then you can plop down the CC in the face of the probe because it's not on location already. 2 seconds earlier. Yeah,
I've never seen that out of a professional Terran, but then again, most Terran players do not think too much when they do stuff. So
I would have been very surprised if they were that far.
Yeah, no shot. Absolutely no way. I feel like it's pretty recent that Terran players actually started realizing that there's a difference in hatch timing between pool first and hatch first. So it's
You know what is so funny? I play gas pool hatch, and the hatchery is 10 seconds later than with the normal pool first. And I still win half my games just with the first 4 speed links because they don't realize I have speed. And none of them know it. Like the first Terrans, I think Gabe figured it out like a couple of months ago. And, you would think it's very obvious, but
If StarCraft ever dies, I have a list of things that Terrans should have been doing. Like,
I have such a big list of things as well.
Like the moment Blizzard turns off the servers, I'll come out with the list, you know? It's like, this race should have been at 80% for the past 5 years. They just don't realize quite yet.
I have a lot of these things as well, but sometimes they get baited when people annoy me so much that they slip out, you know? Yeah. But I have a lot of them hidden as well still. No, even in the mirror matchup. Oh, this Nexus is misplaced.
Yeah, it's definitely misplaced. It's definitely misplaced. Just by a single block, though. It could have been worse. It could have been 2 hexes. It's not quite the case. This is one hell of a build order as well, by the way. We have Marine Marauder, Reactor Hellion, Cloak Banshee. I think most of this got like semi-scouted or fully scouted. And this is still going into bio. These Hellions are not going to be capable of doing very much. There was a force field, which was kind of in time. I feel like the actual play ain't that bad so far, but the real issue for me is the build orders have just not been, well, anything really. They've just not been built.
Yeah, I think I can... I honestly like the Protos build. I am coaching my girlfriend and she's Diamond, and I tell her to go Sentry fast for the hallucination and make a Robo, so she's safe against everything. It's because a lot of Terrans do weird tank pushes. So I like what the Protos is doing. The Terran is at least spending his money very well. But that's like the only thing that I like about his build order.
Yeah, same. I'm my phone just dropped if you heard the noise on the back.
Yeah, I heard it.
I tried to silently get rid of it. And as I was silently about to put it down, it dropped from my hands. Fell on my PC and my chair at the same time.
I'm surprised your phone is even close to you. Whenever we're at events, the viewers don't know this, but whenever I text you, I get an answer either the day after or from Irene. I never get an answer from you.
Well, this is well, now I had it because I had a picture of the introduction on it, because otherwise we'll be here for the next 3 years doing the introduction. I can't remember it.
Wait, so you messed up the introductions 3 times today?
Yeah, well,
you had it
open.
open.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's not been great, what can I say? It's been a rough day already, okay? I didn't need this on top of it. That's a nice kill there on the medevac. You love to see it. This is an interesting army as well that's moving across the map. I honestly, if you're playing kind of a brain-dead robo build, I much would have preferred seeing a straight Colossus, but we do have a big disruptor shot coming in. Woo! Terran with a quick response though, moving away. Was paying attention. It's only gonna lose 2-3 units there. It's double robo production with those immortals popping out at a high pace. You know, I'm kind of okay with everything that's happening right now. I'm not happy with the build orders, but they're making it easy for themselves. At least the Protos is making it easy for himself.
Yeah. One thing I learned throughout the series that we've been doing so far is that if you don't get interrupted by anything, even like diamond players look quite good actually in their early game, and they don't spend that much money. But once action is starting to go down, the resources start going up by a lot. And since nothing happened so far, both of them are looking pretty solid. I'm a little bit surprised by the army composition of the Protoss. Not just that he went Disruptors first, but that he is going mass Immortal now. I'm a big fan of the Immortal, but I would have expected at least a couple of Colossus first.
Yeah, the Colossus is so powerful. But then again, maybe he's actually countering the composition, because so far it's 8 Marauders and 10 Marines. And Colossus really are only good against the Marine, and against Mines they're fine. Against Ghost they're okay, but if there's so many Marauders, I kind of like the Immortal as, you know, as a unit in general. So I kind of understand that as well in a way. I love these double, triple Adept setups, by the way. Just waiting to shade in the moment the opponent moves out. This is actually how I used to play Protoss versus Terran for a very long time. I'd play Phoenix Adept, and then I'd just have Adepts on both sides of the Terran, and whenever they'd move out, I'd shade in like 2 Adepts in each base, and then they're all in. You have a couple of force fields, and you try to win the game. So I absolutely love seeing this. It's kind of a blast from the past for me.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Usually, obviously, we still see this, but mostly with Zealots. But if you have Adepts left over, I think that's a good way of using them. The Protoss obviously spotted the double medevac drop with the Adepts. Oh, good snipe there on Disruptor, but he will lose 1 of the medevacs for it.
Yeah, there's a couple of tanks now sieged up, and 4 Immortals are good. I'm not entirely sure if you can just march up this ramp and start fighting. It's always a little bit scary. Would not quite recommend that. 2 Templars have also joined the army, though. Just here for feedbacking for now, as there's no storm, and they're not morphing into an Archon.
Yeah, you see the moment anything starts to happen, the money starts going up. There's a direct correlation there. So the Protoss does have his fort base up, just like the Terran, who already has a 5th CC finishing, floating over his fort base now. Also getting the Ghost Academy. I feel like if nothing happens, and the Terran actually makes Ghosts, I do think that the Terran is in a little bit of a better position. The only thing that I think is going to be difficult for Terran is going to be moving out with the tanks, because he's playing a very tank-focused army.
Yeah, well, theoretically, it will be difficult to move out. I have a feeling in this game, he's just going to walk across the map, siege up, and be completely fine. This is one of the things about siege units, is that at higher level, they're very good if they get in position, but the hard part about siege units is getting them in position, because you're often fighting for map control. Well, at lower levels, you'll see people move command like this. Like it's just moving 5 tanks just randomly on the map. It's like, this can't really happen if, you know, the opponent tries to get map control and tries to be on the map and tries to play against siege in the proper way. So they're almost much worse at higher level, these siege units, despite still being useful, of course.
That is true. So yeah, there's a Zealot run by going on here. He knows that his opponent is very tank heavy, so being on the map like whatsoever, even just trying, I think is good. He went for the Guardian Shield right away because he thought there might still be a Terran army there, just to take the Watchtower. He was ready to pounce, that's for sure. As he's gonna scout the extra base now, the planetary already being done over here. And now he's adding Colossus and Storm, so he went for the safety 6 Immortals first, and now he's going into Storm and Colossus.
I do love to see it. A couple of Immortals, cheeky Immortals. As the upgrade right now, Gonna be favoring the Terran just a tiny bit. Double eBay is researching. +3 is already on the way. Armor is about to finish up for our Protos player, as this push out is going pretty much unspotted up until this moment. Zealots are providing some type of vision. Finally see the triple Adept Shade going towards, well, what is this? The 5th base, I guess? And just going to hide, well, far away enough from that planetary so it can't quite attack. These tanks now siege up in the middle of the map. And this is just forcing up sieges out of the Protoss player, doing a pretty decent job at it. We have another Adept Run-By being sent out here that is now heading towards that top base, which is the 4th. So lots of harassment going on, not from Zealots, but Adept. Without glaives, but still working out, so I'm not gonna be upset about it.
Yeah, good play. I mean, why waste him earlier if the Terran was still at home? Now he realizes his opponent is moving out. He's using them against the double expand planetaries. Obviously, the Terran is outmining the Protoss right now a little bit, although one fight and everything can turn around. The Protoss also is working on a pretty sick army, honestly, since he's been making robo units from the very get-go. He doesn't have a very high zealot count, and whenever he does warp in zealots, he uses them as run-by, so he's going to be very... he's going to have a very powerful army, especially if he catches a Terran unsieged.
Yeah. But yeah, catching the Terran on siege might be a little bit difficult. We have a random run-by here heading towards the... this is the 2 o'clock base. There's no medevac with it, so picking up is going to be impossible. EMPs are not being used either. Okay, there we go. I think we saw one just now. Maybe not, and I just imagined it. As I thought this was going to actually kind of be the move out for the Terran as well. You know, you run by with a couple of units while at the same time moving out, but it doesn't quite seem to be the case. The tanks are moving towards the bottom side right now as he's trying to establish a 6th base. I saw a fusion core, and now I'm seeing Liberator production as well as a Cyclone on the way.
Yeah, that one is a misclick for sure. I really doubt that one was on purpose, as now he does catch him unsieged and double Disruptor Nova takes out 3 tanks, so only 1 tank remaining there in the main army. So all of a sudden, it's much more engageable now for the Protoss. As he's walking up there and he's gonna zone out with the Disruptor. Good splits from the Terran, doesn't lose a single unit, also not the greatest Disruptor control. Catches a ghost there. As the Protoss army honestly looks quite small. Like if you get pounced on that, as the moment there's no Disruptor Novas anymore, it doesn't look that powerful. As all of the Disruptors are on cooldown now, the Colossus are kind of exposed, good EMPs, but no split from the Terran. So he's gonna have to pull back for now.
The Protoss player went for Observer Speed, Prism Speed, into Thermal Lens. So his Colossus that have no range so far. He built 3 Colossus without range, went for all the other upgrades first. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but there's also 2 Prisms idling in the left side, as a mule drops in the middle of the fight. A little bit confusing here for me, but it did happen. So now this command center might be in some trouble as well. There's plenty of Stalkers to fight that. Yeah, you know, for a second I thought that we might be watching my brother play. Whenever my brother tells me about his PvT games, this is exactly what they sound like. He says that he doesn't use Zealots in the army and only to run by, and that his entire late game plan is just based on sending either Zealots somewhere, or otherwise just losing the game. He said, I just win not by having good fights, but just by running Zealots into bases and clearing all of their eco the entire time. So when you mentioned, he only uses the Zealots to run by, I started thinking of like the build that he uses in the early game. I was like, nah, that's not the case. Otherwise, I would have been very close with my MMR guess, I think.
Is your brother low masters, or what is he?
He's Diamond 1.
Okay, because yeah, I mean it's about right. Honestly, it's a smart move using Zealots as run-bys. I think can get you quite far. Even on the pro level, I mean, we see Max Specs beating Terrans with it consistently, just always having Zealot run-bys ready. And I think against Zerg also in general, you should just use Zealots as a run-by, so...
Yeah.
Your brother at the very least has the theory down.
Yeah, he's a very good teacher, of course. He watches all of Hushang's videos on YouTube. We got the thermal lens here on the way. 65% done right now, as the extra upgrades are coming in. Another immortal popping off as well, and this is looking like a battle cruiser game, you know, cheeky little 7 starport battle cruiser transition from here on out with the +2 ship weapons already ready to go. I feel like it's so powerful to have. Instead, we're seeing a proper composition with Liberators, Ghosts, Marauders, lots of medevacs as well. These Liberators are struggling to siege up. Cannons, of course, great against them. Couple of decent storms hitting as well here. These Ghosts are taking quite some damage. EMPs slow to shoot. And I think 4 storms went down before the first EMP landed.
Yeah, this looking like a great engagement for the Protoss, as long as he keeps A moving with this entire army, as Havos units just stand there doing nothing. It is 3 Liberators now against a couple of Stalkers, but man, it's so many Immortals and Colossus. Okay, just the Liberators alone scare him off, as there are still Stalkers from the back. Overall, I think a really good engagement for the Protoss.
Yeah, this seems fine. Although it's going to be hard to break those Liberators, as long... Well, yeah, I think these Stalkers actually are going to die here on top as well, no?
He can just go, no? There's no units below. Yeah.
I don't know, I've attacked into 3 Liberators too many times. Sometimes you see like these Terran armies, they're 180 supplies, like 5-6 Liberators, 9 Ghosts and 3 Marauders. You have like 60 Stalkers, you're like, that should be fine. You jump in, kill like half a Liberator and lose the game. I feel like this has happened quite a bit to me. So now whenever I see Liberator Ghost setups, I'm very afraid of doing anything. Especially when ship weapons level 2 is done as well, because then you can one-shot Stalkers after EMP connects.
That is true. Yeah, I feel like the numbers are slightly off there from you, sorry, but I don't... I got the gist of things. As the Protoss playing with 5 Colossus, no one gave him the memo that the bug has been removed from the game.
Yeah, but playing more than 3 usually is not quite advisable. Although, if there's no Vikings out at all, I think it's okay to maybe get 1 or 2 more. Generally, it's not the wisest thing to do. Here we go, 1 more engagement. Tanks once more not sieged up as well. That means that this is going to be a pretty okay fight here for our Protoss players. There's really almost nothing for the Terran. He's like a Viking that is landed, a tank that is on siege, 2 Marines and a Ghost. That's pretty much it. There's still 170 supplies somehow, some way. I guess most of that is just going to be either in Vikings or in SCVs. Like, there's just a lot of air units for Terran, but that's about it.
That's SCVs, Vikings, and in production. Because it's 95 workers, and he does have 3 starports. As well as 8 barracks. Oh, he's 5 starports even. So yeah, he can make a lot of units at once, but there's not that many on the battlefield. I think the Protoss was a little indecisive there. He kept like moving back and forth, even though he could have just A-moved it. Potentially being doing some negative micro there, as he has secured his forward base. I mean, I think the Protoss thinks he's in a fantastic position. That he's super far ahead because he's on a high probe count and he is traded evenly, but the Terran actually outmined him in this game, as the Terran has been above 90 workers already for, I want to say, 6-7 minutes.
Yeah, for a very long time now. You know what's really interesting is the... Oh, well, hold that thought, as we have a little bit of fight, a pretty massive engagement over here. A couple of storms hitting these Liberators. Vikings are dealing a lot of damage as Tempest and Colossus are both falling. And I do believe that this TOS army is going to get pushed back quite heavily here. Half of the army isn't stimmed either here for Golden. What I think is interesting is that Solitary seems to be very aware that the Planetary doesn't reach behind the mineral line, and he just kind of... This is his way of harassing, you know, it's either Adepts or Stalkers behind the mineral line. He keeps utilizing that again and again and again. It's of course very annoying for the Terran, but there's also other ways to harass, whether that's Blink Dark Templar, or just getting a Prism in the main base and getting some Zealots in there, or attacking a base that doesn't have a Planetary can also be very helpful, as there's no natural defense there. This is not a fight you usually want to take into 5-6 Liberators, even with a super battery. That's going to suck quite hard majority of the time, and indeed our Terran player is going to be taking a pretty major W. Resources will start looking bad for our Protoss.
Yeah, it's looking pretty grim for the Protoss. He still has a lot of money, and I have the feeling he's gonna clean this up, because it's honestly not that many units anymore, and it's 2 full High Templars, there's no Ghosts left. Doesn't even need the High Templars, to be honest, just the Stalkers alone will clear it up. And the Terran still has 96 workers, so his actual army is not that big. And it's many air units as well, so as long as there is Stalker Disruptor, like, it should be possible for the Protoss to stabilize and stay alive. But yeah, I think the Blink GTs would be huge in a game like this, because the Terran doesn't have any supply to split. The Terran is very low army supply overall, and the Planetary alone will not beat the Blink GTs. Yeah. I also think having like 20 Blink GTs in a late game like this is kind of a win condition, because if you can micro two different armies at once, as the Terran is pushing in once again, I think this was a fine fight for the Protoss, who's now once again killing the Liberator. 1 Archon is being warped in, an extra Zealot warp, and I think the Protoss will clean this up once again. Obviously supplies are still looking pretty bad, because he's getting outmined, and the last, especially the big trade, was super bad for him.
Yeah, it does look a little lopsided. You know, what I'm wondering is maybe it's just best as a Protoss at this level did not build Tempest. and instead just focus on carriers. It feels like the Tempests are much harder to use. It's actually going to clean this line up completely. Liberators trying to siege up, but this is all gone right now. Protos perhaps thinking of pushing forward. Could maybe do it. There's 2 Immortals in here. Has the anti-building attack as well. The tectonic destabilizers on the Tempest. Needs to be careful that he doesn't push too far into that tank, but this actually looks pretty solid.
Yeah, good trades overall from the Protoss. Terran obviously is still expanding and has more and more fresh bases. I think the Protoss would need to expand again himself pretty soon. So yeah, I do think carriers, they sound good in theory, but the issue is that Terran players at this level, when they get a maxed out BC army, I think that's a complete win condition for the Terran. And I don't think you can actually do anything at this level against a maxed out BC army. So what I always tell Hannah is that you need to you just get a ground army and then get 20 DTs, and that's how you actually win the games.
Yeah.
I would suggest making no starport units whatsoever.
Skipping out on the Stargate at all is I like the
Stargate
as well. Yeah, because BCs are impossible to deal with. This is what I hear all the time as well from everyone. The BC's too hard. There's a lot of Marines here, 32 to be exact. There's no medevacs in this army, not a single one. That means that after one storm, these Marines are going to be kind of bruised already. Storm is about to become available. EMP usage has been very mediocre in this game. I feel like we've seen entire fights with Ghost having infinite energy and just not using their EMP very well at all. Liberators now trying to re-siege, second guessing themselves and sieging up in pretty much the exact same position. Protoss players trying to push into this. This is looking like a Terran W though in this fight, as the resources lost are now 43,000 for the Terran and 46k for our Protoss player.
Yeah, the resources lost is staying about as it was a couple of minutes ago, but it's just the Protoss is not taking the left side base, and the Terran is just way out mining him. And the Terran kept expanding, so he doesn't even have any bases where he's mining ineffectively, besides the top right, which for some reason has 29 SCVs there, even though the center base still has all the minerals as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting move indeed. It's a lot of orbitals, man. Well, 5. It's not that many actually. Thought there would be more.
There's three extra planetaries morphing, so he's about to have more planetaries than orbitals, which is something I haven't seen before, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. It's the double planetary on the far right side. I didn't even realize that. It's kind of cute. Do like that. Terran players slowly but surely moving forward. There's Thors in the mix as well. I guess as a counter maybe to the Tempest. I much prefer Vikings. And I'd love to see these Ghosts just hit some EMPs. This is a shift-click EMP here. Cloaking up to EMP is something we also don't see in general very much.
Why did he cloak all his Ghosts for that?
I don't know.
Does he understand how EMP works? I'm not sure. Well, he's pushing in now, and there's no shield battery this time for the super battery. Stalkers are blinking forward, focus firing Liberators. The micro is okay from the Protoss, but it's just not enough anti-air. So the Vikings are killing the Colossus, the Liberators are reigning supreme from the sky, and even though the Protoss might be fine, as it's just 2 Marauders and a Ghost, it's just not good enough. The trades keep being even. Like, whenever I check the resource lost, the Protoss is still 2k behind. And he just needs something better, as the Terran is now finally making the BM battlecruiser.
Yeah. This is big though, this fight. This feels good. He's gonna break through. The Tempests are gonna take everything out. Resources lost might actually slightly go in favor of... Look at this. Within 1k right now, Lambo. This is the fight we've been waiting for. Marauders being taken out by more Immortals. Vikings now moving forward. Trying to fight these Tempests is not quite working. Is the BC going to change the course of this game back into favor of Terran? Well, it's still in favor of Terran altogether, but that last fight was buzzing. So, well, now it's going to turn around. Would love to see a Zealot warp in. Instead, it's going to be 4 Stalkers, now 2 Zealots. It's all Tempest have died. Feels like both of them are really keen on keeping this middle ground. I'm not sure how important this area actually is for the Protoss. Almost feel like giving up this base temporarily for a little bit, maybe expanding towards the left side, then just doing something else while you try to build up an army might be the better call.
Yeah, for sure. I'm afraid even if he's just 1k resource left behind, might not be enough for him. Yeah, I mean, I do like the Stalker run by and what he's doing in general, but the Terran just... He has out-macroed his opponent. He hasn't really outplayed him, he hasn't out-multitasked him, he hasn't out-microed him. He just out-macroed him. He just had more workers and he produced units the entire time. So... Yeah, I'm not sure what the Protoss can honestly do. The Protoss is outmined very soon.
Yeah, but Terran has no gas.
That is true.
Like, completely out of gas. This fight is going to be good for Tos as well. Look at this. Well, it's going to hit himself perhaps with a disruptor shot, storm some of his own zealots, as well as 3 marines. This was a good hold, though. And now there's no reproduction possibilities.
What?
No? Like, I mean, there's almost no gas. There's no gas. There's 400 gas a minute.
That is true, because he doesn't have any of his refineries saturated, not even the rich
but
gas.
He's not. Like, I mean, technically, if they're perfect, yeah, you could take 8 gases at the same time or start saturating them. It would be fine, but right now he's half of his opponent's gas. So all he can build is marines. Now, marines are very good, but if there's any storms out or just any splash whatsoever, Colossus, Storm, well, that's those two, really, that would be huge. Bottom side base is also being taken out. We still have very little gas saturation. That rich Raspine geyser is doing a lot of work right now, as all the other gases are mining inefficiently, or at least, well, with just 1 or 2 workers. That's about it. Terrans also is just really struggling spending his money right now, despite having, what, 12 barracks?
Yeah, he's just not using his barracks right now. If he was actually making marines, I think he could just crash the Protoss, even with just marines. If those 4K resources are on the field right now, I think we're looking at a different game, but the Terran is maybe considering what to make with his money, as now he's starting up new units. 4 Morris, 10 Marines. Attack at the bottom. There's no planetary here. It's going to be a lot of SCVs that are going to be going down, as well as the 2 bases. And the Terran is not responding. He's not pushing at the same time. He could easily take out the right side base of the Protoss and the center base. He's not doing anything. He's finally lifting his orbital. I guess he wants to wait until his army is going to get a little bigger.
Yeah, but that's going to take a while because he's not producing anything. Losing all those mules was also... I mean, it's not the end of the world. Still, it's 4.4k minerals, but... I don't know. That was a lot of cash that was lost there, potentially. As 1 base will survive. Nexus is now being taken. And if Protoss wins a fight right now... and Terran keeps reproducing as slowly as he has... this is starting to look pretty good for the Tos here.
Yeah, for sure. Protoss army looking better in comparison as well as than before, because the Terran doesn't actually have that many Liberators anymore. He has 0 at this point. He has 1 battlecruiser and he's researching Yamato for it. But the 1 battlecruiser I don't think is that good. He's finally using AMP now that he doesn't have to focus on Liberators anymore. Terrible split as all the Marines go down to the Disruptors. And the Protoss is pushing forward. Hey, moving forward. The Terran is GG. What? I don't think that game was lost.
No, it wasn't. No, it really wasn't. Because he had 5k resources in the bank still. 600 gas. I was kind of waiting for, you know, for the Terran to come back. I didn't quite expect this. Oh, but no.
Did the Terran submit the replay?
Yeah.
Okay.
And also the Terran, interesting fact, this Terran was actually a random player. So not a Terran.
Oh,
it's a random that rolled Terran. So there's an interesting little fact here. So we need to keep that in mind, because usually, now Lambo, correct me if I'm wrong, but in my mind, random players have higher MMR than they deserve.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But he played standard here and kind of...
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They still have higher MMR than they deserve, because people just get confused in the early game, especially on the lower levels. I once had a Twitter fight with BeastieQT about this that spanned several days, where I kept telling him that random is significantly easier to play. And then he disagreed with me. And I gave some very specific hypotheticals that he didn't agree. This was 5-6 years ago, maybe. I remember not being capable of sleeping because I was so upset that he didn't understand it.
I don't think it was that long ago, because I can remember it as well.
Maybe 4 years then. I just remember being very upset, Lambo. I don't think I've been this upset in a long time. For a Twitter argument. This is why no one should use Twitter. They called it X for a reason. All right. Wait, I need to guess. I wanted to open the document. Let's see what this guy's MMR is. No wonder
that would be the wrong order. All right. Conveniently pick something closer than me. But not too close, so it's not too obvious.
Yeah, it's not too suspicious. Ooh, off by 23 again. What a coincidence. All right, let me think for a second. So, I mean, the game was just very weird. I don't even know the server. The server was NA, all right. NA server submitter was Terran, but officially played random. That means that I think this is a 3.6k. 3.6k. I think that is fair. I feel like I might be a little bit too high, but it is Americans, and I'd rather go too high than too low with them. So, what do you think? 3.6 exactly, on the dot, is what I'll go for.
I think this was higher for sure. On an A, I'm going. Do you know how many points I am behind? I want to make a big play now. Okay, I'm going 4.4.
4.4.
My actual guess would have been like 4.2.
After this.
I mean, I don't care anymore. We have to send it at this point. My actual guess would have been like 4. My actual guess would have actually been 4.2, I think, or 4.1. I am saying 4.4 exactly.
Okay. The submitter had an MMR B Athena 3980, and the opponent was 4236. Wow. So I'm slightly closer.
But he played better than his opponent. I mean, he was winning the game.
He was winning the game, but didn't...
he left it.
He left it, yeah. So then it doesn't count. Also, Neo Humanity is Terran favor. We should have kept that in mind. Especially for the campers. Campers like Neo Humanity.
That's right, but I feel like this was a game where both players, their playstyle is to try to be safe against their opponent and just sit there and absorb.
Right, but don't forget that it is possible that the Protos was better at being safe. Because neither of them got all in. So that the 100%. Reason that he's higher MMR is just because he gets all in all the time and just holds all of them.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But I think in this game, the Terran game plan was a little better.
Okay. Well, agree, disagree. I always think Pro players play better than Terrans. That's going to be it for me today. Thanks also for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, as we are now reaching for 25,000. It's around the corner, Lambo. I can feel it after we reached 10K the other week. I think we're on to big things now.
On to big things.
All right. Bye-bye.